Hey YouTube, Mochismo Eugene. Another video, exit strategy here. Allow me to talk to you guys for about 15 minutes. I want to talk to you tonight, and I want to label this video titled The Inner Turmoil of the Narcissist. The inner turmoil of the narcissist. The inner fight that narcissists have that has nothing to do with you. And that's good news. It's unsettling, but that should be good news to you. The unsettling part about it is the inner turmoil that narcissists have, the inner struggles, just to simplify it. The inner struggles are constant. These individuals have adopted an idea, a way of life that is centered on manipulation, games, just falsehood. So they lack genuineness in what that does for you being genuine. This makes you a target because you're what they look at as they should be, because it seems to be able to be the natural thing to do. But in their mind, they can't adopt that because they've adopted a falsehood from a very early age, and they've mastered it. And I don't like to give them credit when I say mastered, but in this case, they've mastered that art of being fake and phony and false. And they're disturbed, and they're demonically possessed, because the whole depth of the narcissist is evil. The whole depth of them, their whole existence is nothing good. And anything you see good in them, looking back, and you may say, well, you know what, they weren't all that bad. I know we have a lot of people saying that right now. They were all that bad, and they were worse than you even realized they were. You just haven't seen how worse, or how bad, or how much worse they are. And thank God for that. They're on borrowed time. The inner turmoil is the voices and the thought processes that keeps telling them, you're gonna have to try a little harder. You didn't even scratch the surface. You didn't even meet the mark. You didn't even do the bare minimum. It's just a slew of thoughts of all negative onslaughts of voices that are hitting them right and left. Now, to combat this, they have to constantly look for validation through you, the empath. Now, we who are and who were codependent, we have like-minded behaviors of codependency. We seeked for validation. We looked for approval from other people. Now, I've always said the narcissist trains you to be a narcissist. Now, you had a true self. You still have a true self. But looking back at all of this need for speed and needing to have someone say thank you or pat you on the back, give you the validation that you thought you needed, now that you've awakened from this abuse, you really look at yourself and your genuineness and your authenticity, and you say, well, I didn't even need that to begin with. But you were trained over time, either in your family unit, in school, because you were mimicking, going along to get along. This is what this boils down to. When we get along to get along, we do what we see everybody else is doing. That we pattern our life after things outside of ourselves. But when we spend time with ourselves, we realize that this takes a lot of energy to do this and to do that. It takes less energy for me to just be content with who I am and what I have. I don't have to be at every show. I don't have to be at every game. I don't have to be watch every Sunday football game. I don't have to go to every golfing game at the golf club. I don't have to be at the gym every day because everyone else does. I can do these things as I see fit for me. You become a leader rather than a follower, which is innate to your nature, your God-given nature, to be a leader. If you're not leading anyone but yourself, because you know who you're following. If you're following the inner spirit, which is of God, you know where you're going. And unfortunately, if you're not following that spirit of God, which he's put in front of every human being that he created, the unfortunate part of it, and this is written, many are called, but few are chosen. Don't take my word for it. So if many are called and few are chosen, the few that are chosen are the ones who are answering the call. The ones who are not chosen is the ones that don't raise their hand. These are the arrogant ones. These are the prideful ones. These are the ones that we now know are Jezebel spirits. They've adopted their own rights and wrongs, and most of their rights are wrong, and all of their rights are wrong. And they are so masterful, they can make you believe that what they're doing is authentic to the good, but it's the contrary. They're mirroring what you have within you. Now that you know what you know about these people, there is no hope. I've said it before. You very well could have been the narcissist's last opportunity to know God and to change. Even though you may not be a God-fearing person, if you've been awakened and you survived narcissistic personality disorder by way of a narc, this is God giving you an opportunity to know him too. The only difference in you and the narc is that you are grateful. You know that you are privileged. You acknowledge the fact that you erred in thinking what you thought. You were deceived. You didn't get yourself out of this situation all by yourself. Something intervened. You have to search out what that thing was and what that entity was. For me, it was God, and I knew God before I even experienced the narcissist relationships by way of women. But I believe there are some narcissists in the family structure here or there. I haven't had much time to look back in my life and to see who and what specific forms they were, but I just know. I mean, they're everywhere in all facets of life. Most of the time, they're people in position. I will believe that the secret societies are comprised of predominantly narcissists. The rulers of the world, this world, are predominantly narcissists. People in power and control are narcissists. That's why in society you'll hear people saying, you know, don't judge. This is the new catchphrases, all-inclusive, inclusion. These words, they're trying to make us dumb down the reality that there is good and bad. They want to trade what's bad and make it look like it's good. They're saying to us who are free thinkers, just accept everybody for who they are. And in doing that, they want you to go to sleep. Drink the Kool-Aid. But the inner turmoil of the narcissist is something that should be comforting for you, because I'm going to show you why. And I'm about to end this video with this, because that's a death sentence for them. I was going to read the DSM-4 and 5. Actually, I was going to purchase it 2 years ago. I've been 3 years since the narcissist has been out of my life. Time goes fast. Haven't yet divorced them, but which is something I dread, just to be in the courts, because you know how this plays out. It could go fast and it could go slow, but because of certain things with regards to my personal welfare, I need to do this sooner than later. Maybe this year will be the year. I just need to muster up some energy and devote some time to doing it and get the process going. But back to my bigger point, they have a death sentence, and this is not your fault. This is not your concern. Now with the DSM-4 and DSM-5, I just figured I'm not gonna even bother, because I don't want to know. Well, not to say that I don't want to know. I don't wish to exhaust and exacerbate my time in my life to purchase a book such as that, to have an intellectual, psychological, it's another word they use for that, definition of who they are. I don't need to know the clinical word for word for verbatim. I just believe in learning about some of these people in my everyday walks of life. Has taught me well, and is continuing to educate me well. Case in point, I've had a couple of run-ins with some in the workplace. And once you realize, and they realize, that you're not anything to be tampered with, they know that there's something different. You may be aware. They won't easily just go their way. They'll tread lightly, but what you do is your silence, which will speak volumes. You don't have to stare back at them continually. You can give them a solemn stare, 2 second, 3 second stare. Then you automatically ignore the hell out of them, because they hate being ignored. They hate being ignored. If they offer you something to eat, if they offer you some food, don't take it. If they offer you drink, don't take it. Don't take any handouts from them. I don't care if it's the smallest thing. You pass. This is how they try to come back, and it's like a merry-go-round. They come back to see if you're really who they think you are. They need to know. They need to be certain. We don't need to experiment with them to know, because some of their behaviors, their cues, tell us right away what they are. We don't always get it right with regards to whether we're dealing with one or not, but in no time than not, if you're silent, most often when you're silent, you're observant. And you let them play themselves, and in no time and not, you will see that they are who you thought they were. Your intuition normally doesn't lead you wrong. In the past, our intuition told us something was not right, and we were right about that. But we didn't know what we know now. We didn't know that to hang our necks out, that we could have very well got them chopped off. But thank God we didn't. We lost a lot. We lost a lot of health. We lost a lot of time. We lost a lot of finances. But what we've lost, what we've gained in comparison going forth, I believe we can salvage our life in a meaningful way if we don't do anything but bring meaning to someone else's life that has dealt with this or is dealing with this right now. We can't always tell them right way that they're dealing with what they're dealing with face to face. But thankfully, these platforms here, if we can put the content out, by chance, they will do what we all did. We went to YouTube. And I praise God for YouTube in that respect, This is one of the only places that we can actually vent and talk and expound on our experiences and get an audience, in the sense of people absorb it. If it wasn't for this, I probably wouldn't have absorbed someone coming to me face to face and saying, hey, you're dealing with XYZ. They're going to destroy you. It wouldn't make sense. It didn't connect in that way. And I believe this is the grace of God who has allowed social media. See, God can use something that is so despicable and terribly designed, and he can get something good out of it. And this is what YouTube is doing. With this platform, people are able to just get in front of the camera like me and say what their truth is. One thing you don't have is narcissists on here talking about oh man, I'll keep that thought to myself. But anyway, this is public enemy number one. This is top priority. This will never go away. It is only going to get worse. I was looking at TikTok or YouTube, whereas they're playing this rap song in the background. I think is the rapper that got killed, King Von, about shooting and getting the ups on the ops. And in these videos, it's disturbing because in every one of them, this song in the backdrop is featured where there's people running up to cars and ambushing people and killing them. This kind of behavior is very narcissistic. This is what we're creating in our world. People video this stuff and they cheer and they champion these people on. Years ago, I was in the public library and I was sitting next to a young girl. I'll never forget it. And she was, I just heard some commotion on her computer, and I just peered over, not intentionally trying to be nosy because I'm minding my business, but I couldn't help but observe because the volume was wide open on her computer. And I peered over and she is looking on YouTube at fights in school, whereas kids are videoing them and they're championing and they're cheering the one who's getting beat up. They're cheering the person who's beating the person up. They're cheering them on. They're cheering them on. Nobody's breaking it up, and multiple people have cell phones just videoing it. And we just lost a young kid to the hands of 5 police officers, and people are saddened by it. But there are many people, and we'll talk specifically the narcissists, they pretend to be concerned about this tragedy because this brings them fuel supply to act like they care, to act concerned. So let's be very careful. They will get beside well-meaning people and campaign right alongside you and make believe that they're sincere about this change. And I'll show you a good indicator that they're not sincere. Think back to their lifestyle. Think about how they live. Think about how they raise their children. Think about some of the tragedies that they see and you talk about, or they converse to you. Think back to some of the comments they make and statements they make out of pocket. And you compare that to this thing that they're trying to support, such as George Floyd, and they want to picket and walk and parade alongside well-meaning people who genuinely have a heart of empathy. It's the reason why I don't get behind a lot of movements, because the leaders of these movements are so they're so fake and phony and demonic till I can champion a cause on my own. I can pray for a cause on my own. And it's best to be safe than sorry, because when you pair up against these narcissists or with these narcissists, they will have you exhausted, and you'll find yourself giving them credit for something you created, or something that was not your idea, but it was just a unified interest of sorts. It was a group interest, but they will absorb all the credit for it. And this goes on and on and on. This can be a lengthy video, but at 20 minutes, bless.